David Verman with Wolves reporter Joe Edwards. Joe, we've just spoken to Nuno and Cody before Espanyol, although you wouldn't have thought it was an Espanyol presser because he talked about VAR for the majority of the time. But we'll start with Espanyol. If this isn't one of the most, if this isn't one of the biggest games for Wolves in recent times, it's certainly one of the most exciting. And although Nuno doesn't like to let it be known that he is excited, I mean, it's a big occasion for them. How did he talk about how him and Cody are preparing for the game?
Well, it's business as usual, really, for Wolves, and they're keen to not, kind of lap it up too much and kind of be overawed by the occasion. I don't think there's any danger of that. But no matter what the competition, whoever they're playing, it's business as usual, isn't it, for Wolves? It's game by game, treat them all with respect, and that's how they're staying. I mean, obviously, it wasn't really brought up in the press conference, but Wolves' accounts came out yesterday, and there's quite a public admission in there from the club that we want to be competing for Europe year on year. We want to be getting in these competitions. We've enjoyed it, and we want more of it. Mm-hmm. But Nuno, Cody, and everybody else in that squad will stick to that game by game approach, and understandably, even now, we know for it's there in black and white that Wolves, want to be, a force for years to come there.
And they're very proud of the position they've got to. I mean, Cody especially talked about the journey that they've been on, and he's really excited for this game. If Nuno wasn't saying it, he was pretty evidently quite excited.
Yeah, he was. He made the point that you can't really go and do much sightseeing when you're on these European trips. I mean, it has been quite the journey so far. Obviously, Wolves had those 6 qualifying games, 3 double headers, Crusaders, Punic, Yerevan of Armenia, and Torino, which, you could argue that Torino's been kind of the toughest team that Wolves have faced yet, but obviously Braga, Besiktas and Bratislava in the group stages, they've all, offered different things along the way. Besiktas, quite of a raucous, hostile atmosphere, not the greatest team, mind. Bratislava, a ground full of kids, despite it supposed to be being behind closed doors. So Wolves have experienced a little bit of it all so far. It's been an enjoyable journey, but be assured that they don't want it to end, anytime soon, really.
What about team news? What about injuries? Who do you expect to start? Anyone rested?
I've just got a sneaking suspicion that Max Kilman might play this game. I've been proved wrong many times before, but I just feel like Romain has had a lot of football over these past few months. Obviously, filling in the back three while Bolly was out, and since Bolly's return, Bolly has played on the right and Saïs on the left. If there's anybody perhaps who could do with, and Kilman has proved himself to be, a more than capable replacement for the games that he's come in. I think maybe Max Kilman could play, and then it's just, I think Moutinho comes back in midfield, and then it's who's playing either side of Jimenez, I think, which is the debate. I would say Daniel Powdens, but we've seen it before with new signings. It takes them a month or two to be kind of fully bedded in.
At least Nuno thinks so.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Neto possibly on the left, Traore back on the right, Jota, still doesn't look quite 100%, so maybe just give him maybe half an hour against Espanyol and then start him on Sunday.
Let's talk about VAR then. We'll try and keep it short. Nuno was asked about VAR being included in the Europa League and what possible changes to the rules there are as compared to the Premier League. But he actually gave some pretty strong opinions about how he thinks it should be modified, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did last Friday as well, of course, that whole farce of Willy Bolly's goal being disallowed because of Pedro Neto's heel being offside just about. Then I said something has to change with it then, and he hasn't changed his mind now, saying something has to change. Obviously, Arsene Wenger's came out today, I believe, and talking about there being daylight, and that was something Nuno referred to last Friday, and he very much kind of agrees with Wenger that something needs to be done with this offside rule. It'll be interesting to see how it's administered by UEFA. It's not going to be Stockley Park and the Premier League refs in control of it. And what UEFA have said is that this is there to assist referees, and the main thing is about strong referees making decisions, with their own minds and managing the game that way. So that's what you want to hear. But of course, actions speak louder than words, don't they? So let's hope that those words from UEFA, which seem to be what we want to see, actually ring true.
Do you agree with him that he said he agreed with the Wenger that like if any part of the defender is onside, then they should be onside? Do you agree with that, or do you think that just creates the same problem again?
It's difficult to say, isn't it? I mean, we all thought that VAR would be maybe not the saving grace, but it would at least clear up a lot of the errors that we saw. But it's probably done the opposite. It's muddied the waters, hasn't it? So it's difficult to know. I think that there's definitely room for improvement. It's just what that improvement is. I'm sure they'll be looking at it. Defenders may feel a bit slighted if any part of the attacker that's in line is judged to be onside. So it's a difficult one going forward, but the main thing for Wolves, obviously, it's coming in, it's VAR, whatever. But even if they are on the receiving end of a decision tomorrow night, unlike against Leicester last Friday, they've got to try and make the chances outside of the VAR decisions count.
You asked Nuno about Oscar Bo-Radmanson. He's been in the squad recently, and you asked him about whether he's considered a first-team player. He's obviously a player that's come through the academy. He's been playing there for a while now, since Rob Edwards was there. And they try and emulate what the first team are doing, so they can make that smooth transition. What did he say about Rasmussen?
Yeah, 100% first-team player now, and well done to him. He's kind of stuck it out really as Rasmussen. I mean, or whatever you want to call him, but he scored that goal, didn't he, in the promotion season against Hull in that draw, and then kind of just disappeared into the 23s. Wasn't really seen in first team contention at all, and then a few games into this season, his name started cropping up again, and lo and behold, over the last say 7 or 8 weeks, he's been a pretty regular fixture in first team squads, and we saw a similar situation with Kilman last season, where he'd been on the periphery for a while, and then Nuno came out and said yes, he's fully integrated, he's 100% first team player, and he's now done the same with Oscar. It'd be interesting to see whether he does carry on being in squads. Ruben Vinagre also mentioned in today's press conference he's really close to returning from a hamstring injury. But Oscar, he's a good option to have. He's a right-sided wing back. He's obviously not had the senior experience, but at least you've got a player there that is a replacement for Matt Doherty if needed. And I just asked him about Leo Campagna as well. He says it's a similar situation for him, without out and out saying that he's a definite first team player. He hasn't played for the 23s yet. He's been training with the first team exclusively, so he's pretty much a first team player.
Go on and give us your predictions. What do you think Wolves should be aiming for? What do you think they'll be happy with? Would they be happy with just a 1-goal margin at home?
I think so. I think the big thing is trying to, obviously, away goals. He's in this, and I think you want to avoid. You want to keep a clean sheet if you can. 0-0 wouldn't be terrible, but I think a 1-0 win would be good. I mean, you look at Espanyol. Obviously, we've alluded a lot to their position in the league. They're 20th in La Liga after finishing 7th last season. But they won their Europa League Group H, so they've obviously got something about them. Player-wise, for this trip, they're without 2 big players. Raul de Tomas, who was the 20 million signing in January, striker, scored 5 in 5, signed from Benfica. He's injured, so he hasn't travelled. And Mark Roca, not going to pretend I know a lot about him, but apart from what I've seen, he's one of their shining lights in midfield, one of the bright spots for them this season. So he hasn't travelled either. So that's 2 key players that Espanyol are without. I mean, there's a few names you may recognise if you go through the team. Diego Lopez, goalkeeper, who's been a part of the Spain setup for years.
He was at Real Madrid at one point.
Yeah, Jonathan Calleri had a bit of a spell at West Ham, didn't really do much, but Wu Lai is another name that one of the big Chinese players that maybe will have crossed Wolves' mind at some point, because he's the kind of.
I'm just thinking he was the one linked with Wolves.
He's in their ranks as well. They've got a few decent players. I think they spent 40 million in January to try and move up the table and make a fist of the Europa as well. I would say that La Liga survival would be their priority, so we may well see some changes from Espanyol for this game. So fingers crossed, Wolves can take advantage. We'll go 2-0 tomorrow night.
Oh, that sounds like a good one.
Yeah.
Wolves v Espanyol tomorrow night in the Europa League for all the pre-match build-up. Say with expressionstar.com.